Good evening. I'm going to continue working on asset management tonight. I don't exactly remember where I left off on the stream, but I've gotten some more work done on it last night and earlier tonight. So I'm just going to hack on it a little bit more tonight, and just figured I would stream while I did it. So, I will say that I've kind of defined some additional types, I guess, or at least, actually, yes, types plural. I have the simple asset cache, which is sort of like a abstraction for these maps of, the normal asset cache maps some sort of integer ID to some form of data, and the data is now also wrapped in a shared pointer, so we're not copying it all the time. A shared pointer is essentially a reference counted pointer. I don't recall if it's thread safe out of the box, like Rust's atomic reference counted pointers, or if it's just like Rust's non-atomic reference counted pointers. But that shouldn't really be a concern here regardless. If I was using Rust, I would make it an arc, just to be on the safe side, and but yeah, just because why not? There's a performance penalty, but it would not be that important here. But anyway, so yes, the point being, an asset cache maps an ID to data. So that's used for Avara resources that used to be, yes, like numbered resources in the resource fork. So BSP data, HSND sound, metadata, whole resources. And so that's, I'm using it for a whole cache, BSP cache, and sound cache. Currently not populating those. Still haven't written that code yet. But then the simple asset cache just maps. Well, one more thing. So on the asset cache, an asset cache is basically just a map of assets. These assets. But in addition to the data, I'm storing the package name along with that data to say, okay, yes, this is a numbered asset, but it came from this package. The idea being that, the way that Avara works is when it tries to load one of these, excuse me, man, really coughing a lot tonight all of a sudden. As soon as I get on stream, of course. But when Avara is trying to load a BSP or sound or whatever, it starts by, it checks like whatever level set is being, it's loading the level from, And if it matches, then great, it uses that one. But if it's not there, then it looks in, previously like the app's resource fork, Avara itself's resource fork, for that data. So it acted as a fallback. And so the idea is I'm eventually going to have methods for, loading an ALF file, or loading a BSP file, or loading or resource. Well, I guess now it's a file, right? Or loading a sound file. And what that will do is it will look in the caches, and if it exists, then great, it'll just return that pointer. But otherwise, it will, look in each package in the appropriate order, starting from most specific to least specific. So it would start, it would check the level set. Hey, this is the path. Check the path. Does the file exist? If yes, it will, load that file and do whatever post-processing it might need to do and store it in the cache. Otherwise, it will move on to the next item in the list, which may be a dependency. So, in the case of Avara line Quarks mode, for example, because I have this Avara line strict mode as a required package, it would look there, and if it wasn't there, then it would fall back to Avara or Aftershock if it says to use Aftershock for that for that level. So again, yes, going from sort of most specific to least specific, and it will put that item in the cache. But obviously, but again, ultimately, underneath, there's only you can only have one item in the collection with that ID. And the reason we store the package name is that when we're clearing the caches, because we don't need that package anymore, because we've moved on to another level set and it has maybe a different set of dependencies or whatever. We can loop through the cache and look for the package that we don't care about anymore and remove from the cache. Next time we try to load a resource with that ID, it'll see it doesn't have one, and it'll look in the current level or current. Again, look it up in the list of packages that we care about in the appropriate order, and add them to the cache. So that is the idea. Again, I apologize for all the coughing. I'm going to try to blow my nose here real quick. Hold on. Okay, we'll see if that helps. If not, I may have to go get a cough drop. So, we've talked about asset caches. Simple asset cache. Different use case. So, in what I am using it for in Asset Manager now is a manifest cache, and that is the set.json file that is inside every Avara package that contains oldest data, most notably the LEDI data, which is the it's short for level directory, I think. I don't think that was ever officially documented, but that's my headcanon. And which has basically the list of levels in order, the level description for each level, and the ALF file to load. Really, the path to the ALF file to load. Relative path. And it's also where the HSND metadata is stored, and whole resources are stored. So, a lot of that stuff that used to be like defined in fields, I guess you could say, in the resource fork. There were like template resources or something that kind of defined the layout and their labels and all that, I guess. But that's where all that stuff is stored. Basically contains important information about the package. So, and now of course it also contains the dependencies, list of dependencies. So but there is only one manifest file per package, right? It doesn't have an ID. We don't care about an ID. It's really meaningless. And really, we kind of want to load them for all the packages that we care about up front. So, as an example, I talked about sort of loading those BSP and sound resources and stuff, but really that would be done on demand. But these really we want to update kind of as soon as the context changes. So either the base package changes or the level set that we're looking at changes. And so, here, when we switch the base package from Avara to Aftershock or vice versa, yes, we clear all these caches, and I should probably rip this out and put it in another function, maybe? I don't know. It's fine. Because really it'd probably only appear here in switch context. But anyway, I remove anything from the cache, from the base package, but then I also tell it to load the manifest and script file for the new package. Although actually I think I might, come to think of it, I might need to move these under this line, because I believe get manifest path, for example, or get full path. Yes, it sends the base package there, so I do need to move this. Aha. Use your brain. Okay. So. That's good. And but yes, we load them right away ahead of time, and I actually need to make well, actually it doesn't matter for base package, but when it comes to switching context, which means changing the level set, we're looking at like I kind of have this half started, not really, but because the idea is I need to figure out okay, basically compare the old context that we're switching from to whatever new context we are switching to, but then I need to look at, like load the main package manifest, but also recursively drill down into that manifest for any requirements, and if there's a requirement that I need to look up that package manifest and cache it, and look up to see if that dependency has any other dependencies, and that's why it has to be recursive, right? But yes, build that new external packages list um, in the order that we want it in, and I believe by doing it recursively, it will give us the right order. The other thing that we need to maybe worry about is just making sure that we're not adding duplicates to that external packages list. But I need to again, that's kind of raises questions about, okay, well, what if multiple packages depend on the same package? Where exactly in that linear, list does it need to ultimately appear? But I would say probably you keep it earlier in the list, closer to the first time that it was you encountered it as being required, because you would want that to, in theory, override anything that was like deeply nested. So that seems to make sense. In practice, we'll see how it shakes out. There's only one set that requires any other asset package right now, so it's really a stupid exercise. It's a dumb thing to worry about. I'm making this too complicated, but it's fun, so I'm doing it. So, I've covered that. Now we can talk about something else. Right. But, again, manifest, there's only a single manifest file, and there's also only a single script file in each package. So that's why they're both simple asset caches. The Avara, the script is just a Avara script, like this default .avara script. Again, the base package defines one. That's where basically all the variables get initialized that the game relies on in some cases. And then, if the level set defined one that was, it was previously like text resource 1000. It was just this like special thing. And it would, yes, treat that as a override, essentially. And so when it's running the scripts, it actually runs the base first. It kind of goes in the opposite direction of does the hierarchy in the opposite direction. So when you're loading a BSP, you actually look at the level set and then work your way to fall back to the base package. But when it comes to the default.avara script file, you run the base first, and then you run the level set, or whatever is in between those. And so you go from I guess more general to more specific, and you run every single one. You don't not run any of them. And so that way variables can override other variables, or other variable definitions. And so I'm trying to think of like a example where you would do that, but in the case of Quark's mode requiring the strict mode script, that means that it would run the base package default.avara script first, then run the strict mode script. So, it's set M Silverfox to Silverfox, and then it would run the quirks mode script. In this case, it's exactly the same, but if it, if I changed it to put like my email address there, like a lot of people used to do, um, then that's the one that would show up. So in quirks mode, ultimately. So, sup Rico? Anyway, that's the rundown on the caching stuff. I did kind of a rework on some other stuff. I actually, before I don't remember if I built this on the stream before, but I had this local asset repository. Did I close the H file? I guess I did. But it extended this asset repository abstract class, which really just kind of where is it? Defines this get package list function, and so that provides the list of available packages. And in fact, just so I'll just show it real quick, because the game actually builds currently. At least it did. I guess I've changed a few things since then. Let's see here, but I think it should work. Yeah. And so ultimately, in fact, let me show this real quick. So I have this repository stack. So basically a list of pointers to asset repositories. And I believe right now there's only one asset repository, which is the local asset repository. So, but the asset manager has a somewhere in here, get available packages function that retrieves a alphabetical list of all the available packages. So you could have stuff that was local on your hard drive, but also, for example, a remote asset repository, in theory, that maybe hits an API or something and says, hey, these are sets that you don't have but are available to you. And then maybe if you tried to load them, it would see that you don't have it and download it from the local repository and save it in a asset storage. So I separated the concept of a repository that just kind of is like a directory, and storage, which is like just a location on your hard drive, essentially. And so we have two of these storage classes: base asset storage, and also local asset repository. So local asset repository now extends, it's both a repository and a storage driver engine thing. And just kind of, there's a in this case it points to the levels directory on your hard drive, and also has code for inspecting your file system to produce the list of available packages. In a nutshell. And that code for building the available packages is now in use right here. Works just like it has. That's no different. So, but yeah, I mean, in theory, this could include level sets from some, you know, external source that's not on your hard drive yet. So that's just laying the groundwork for the future. Because we've always wanted to decouple assets from the application. Okay. But yeah, not a lot to look at there. Then there's like, you know, just whatever base asset storage that just points to your what's it called? Resource directory. So that's just, yeah, where the base packages are stored. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers the important stuff that important modifications that I've made. Haven't really made very many code changes on stream. Just kind of talked about what I've been working on. But one thing that I wanted to do next was that I have this method for getting the full path to, you know, given a relative path and a package, retrieves the full path. And so, you know, you could pass it a you know, subdirectory as an example. Let me open up so, you know, when it would basically receive something like this, and some sort of string like that, and give you the full path. Really, I would probably be passing that function something that looked more like that, but you know, point being that it you know, this string has a / in it, and right now I'm not handling that in the get full path method, and that's important because the path separator differs on Windows, right? So I need to take the relative path and potentially modify it, replace any / with backslashes if it's Windows. So I'm going to look at, because I know we did it here in the bundle path function. Something like this. Really, I just kind of care about the if def and end if, because I'm not dealing with C strings at all. I'm trying to avoid it. Okay, so something like this. Now I need to look up C++ documentation. Oh. Replace string. You know what? I might be doing this. I'm sure I'm doing this elsewhere, somewhere. Let me think here for a second. I mean, honestly, it might be in here somewhere. Or it actually might be in level loader. Where is it? Handle include. Here somewhere. Okay. So it looks like I will need to include regex. And I will just copy that. We're just playing the copy paste game right now. Okay, so I'm actually looking for not // I don't care about // clean regex. So that's the pattern. Oh wait, no. I'm actually wrong. That's the thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for a // and I want to replace it with the path separator, right? Okay, so that's the relative path. And then I think that's good. Unfortunately, I can't test it because I'm not on Windows. But let me see what happens if I do that. Just make sure that it builds and doesn't bitch at me about anything. Okay. It builds. So I think that'll be fine. That's my extremely scientific test. All right. Well, that's done. So switch base package. I think that's good to go. I mean, this is the weird thing that I have to figure out. Where I build a So let's say standard vector new context, and we'll start it empty, and then we will call a recursive function that takes takes a reference to this type and recurses through it. But I do also want to store those loaded package manifests in the cache. So maybe it actually needs to take reference to both the old and the new. And if it's in the old, then it just uses the cached version. Well, I guess it wouldn't need a reference to the old context. It could just look it up in the cache. So if it's in the cache, it doesn't need to load. But if it's not in the cache, then it does need to load it. So I think that will work, and I can worry about removing stuff from the cache once this vector is fully built out. So so do that recursing thing, but then also external packages equals new context, which means I actually don't even need this. So let me think of what to call that function while I get some more tea. I'll be right back. Okay. something like that, but I think it also needs to take a package name, which so we'll document it here. First, we build a list of dependencies for the current, for the specified package. I'm trying to decide if I should reorder these. Dependencies are appended to the provided list in the order in which they are encountered. As a side effect, any packages encountered will be any packages will have their manifest and Avara script files loaded and cached if they are not already. Okay. That sounds like a plan. Okay. That's the last... Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to keep things in the same order here. Okay. So I need to check to see if the manifest is in the cache. Let me... okay, hold on. So, simple asset cache. So it's a map. Okay, so C++ standard map. At actually, what does that return? Reference to the map to values. Okay, so that's, yeah. No such elements exist. Okay, so I need to check to see if it's there first. Look up. Okay, finds element with specific key. Returns it. Say what? That's probably 0 or 1, right? Yeah. I wonder what's faster. What is... this returns... iterator to an element with key equivalent to key. So this finds the first one. So actually, I think it's probably faster to just use count. So I will say if manifest cache. Wait, that's probably a... okay, yeah, it's just a straight map, so I should just be able to do dot count current package. So if it's greater than 0, actually, I think I want to say if it's equal to 0, then load manifest for the package, and I would similarly say if Avara script cache load script current package. So now they are guaranteed to be in the map, in theory. I guess it's true. Because theoretically, if those files don't exist, they would fail silently. But I guess that doesn't. Well, it does kind of matter in the case of the manifest, but I don't know what to say. Then I guess we won't be drilling down into the list any farther because we won't have any dependencies to look up. So I guess that's okay. Okay, so I'll say try and load the manifest. if it isn't already in the cache, ditto for the Avara script. I'm just trying to think if there's a better control structure to use or something that I'm not thinking of, because it feels dumb to kind of have to count twice. Because theoretically I could just say like else here and I wouldn't need to do another count. Count check, but okay. I'm just gonna say auto because manifest cache at okay. So that should just be a reference to a package manifest, which looks like this. So then at that point, I need to say, because this is a vector, so yes, I need a loop for, shoot, what is it, like auto const auto? Probably auto const reference, yes. Manifest dot. This is a lot of weird. Oh right, because it's a shared pointer. Okay. So I do need a dereference. Required packages. We're gonna loop through all the required packages, which are just. So this should be a string basically, or well, I guess not really. I still have to say dot package name. So then I would call asset manage, or no, I don't need to do that actually. Just build dependency list. Rec dot package name list. But I also need to add this to the list. So list dot push back rec package name. So when we first enter here, in fact, let me build build dependency list package name new context, because that's what the list I want to modify. Okay. So let's say we're switching the context to Avara line strict mode. So it passes in Avara line strict mode and this empty list. It checks to see if there's a manifest yet. There isn't one. It loads it. It loads the default Avara script file. Then it checks to make sure that it loaded successfully, and if so, then it pulls that manifest object from the cache. It loops through its required packages, but actually, I think I need to not put that there, because I still haven't added Avara line strict mode to the dependency list. So before I loop, I'm trying to decide where the line needs to be. Probably somewhere here, but I'm trying to decide if it needs to be added if it was not if there wasn't a manifest file. Because if there wasn't a manifest file, technically it shouldn't even we shouldn't even be here. Because there's numerous places where it doesn't even treat a package as a package if it can't find a manifest file. So I think it's okay to put it here. So I will say list dot pushback current package. So it adds a Avara strict mode. Actually, let's pretend I said quirks mode instead of strict mode. And then so it adds a Avara quirks mode, and then it looks at the required packages, and it sees somewhere, I guess it was down here, this package here sees Avara strict mode is required. So it added quirks mode. It sees that it needs to add strict mode, and so it calls the same function again, loads the manifest for strict mode, loads the script for strict mode, sees that it loaded it successfully, and so it adds strict mode. There's no requirements in strict mode, so it doesn't loop at all, and then it is done executing the function, and the quirks mode function call that happened before this, to this function also ends, and now we should have a list that has quirks mode, then strict mode. So that is what we want. Let me make sure. Yes, vector. I wanted to make sure that I because before I made it a deck for a while, but I think I'm just going to make it a vector. Oh, I've got to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Forgot I was muted, sorry. I think we're at the point now where we have this populated new context, thanks to this build dependency list function, and we have the old context, but we still need to remove any unneeded packages from the cache. So we need to build that package list that we need to send to all these cache removal functions. By comparing, basically looking at any building a list of items that appear in the old context that do not appear in the new context. So, let's say needs cache clear, and then we're gonna say for package old context. So we're gonna loop through all the old context stuff, and there's got to be a like a standard vector, like find method, maybe. Access last time. Huh. I've looked at this up before. Algorithm. Iterator to the first element found. If not present, returns an iterator to 1 past the end. Why are we including... I feel like I've used this before. Oh, this is not our yeah, not our code. Did I use it here? No. What am I using algorithm for? I don't know. Clamp? Maybe? Must be. Alright. No. Who knows, man? Oh, well, I didn't want to close that, but whatever. So... I'm just gonna copy this. basically. Okay. Standard find. New context. Again, new context end. Package does not equal new context end. Then, or wait. So, if item present, do this. But I'm looking for if the item is not present. If the old item is not in the new item, right? If there's an old item that is not in the new context, then I want to erase it. Yes. Okay. Apparently, I must be tired. Running out of steam. That's okay. Once this is done, it'll be at a good stopping point. Okay. Needs cache clear push back. So we're adding the package name to the list of packages that need a cache clear. And then we will call all this stuff well, if there's any items, then we'll do it. Otherwise, there's no point in. I don't think it'll make a huge difference, but well, I was certainly not expecting. No matching function call to simple cache removal. How's that possible? It worked up there. Oh, because it's not a... Do I need to, like... Oh. Do that? And it would still work because I'm still... Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Okay. Because technically, that is the type it needs to be, even though it's compatible if it's guaranteed to be a string, but, you know. Compiler is dumb, I guess. Okay, so yeah, I think that's literally all that's required for the switch context function. We've loaded the manifest, we've loaded the script file, we've built out external packages in the proper order, and the game still builds. What is this? Oh, this is just that dumb thing. Now we're technically, even though that code builds, we're not really using it for anything. But yet, we're not using it yet. Dear boss. Okay. Bodhi. Anyway, point is, game still works. So, the next step, like, I have these checks here in switch context to determine whether or not we actually need to switch the context. Actually, am I even using this package path still? Guess not. So I'm gonna just not do that. And make sure it still builds. But technically this check, this is just like checks to see, okay, well, do we have any external packages loaded? I mean, if there aren't any, or the first one on the list is not the package that we care about, then we don't need to do any of this. Or, sorry, I misspoke. If it's empty or it doesn't match the currently loaded package, then we need to do all this stuff, because we actually need to switch the context. Otherwise, nothing actually happens. So, there's that. Switch base package does something very similar. Checks to make sure that the currently loaded base is not the new base that was requested. But it's kind of silly. I think it makes more sense for me to, in the load level method here. In fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that real quick. So I'm actually going to wrap, whoops, too far. Wrap this. Oh. Ugh. So we only even call the method if the package name blah 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 blah. If we need to switch the context, that I think is more appropriate. Just don't even call it. And similarly, at this point, because we have the manifest loaded, we could shoot, I think what happens if is there a thing called low level? Turn. I just wonder, yeah, if this function should be returning this OS error. This is certainly not the right way to do this. Okay, cool. Um, awesome. Um, okay, so I think I'm going to do that. So this OS error comes from types.h, I think? That's where okay, let's we're almost at a stopping point. It's probably under pad, actually. Yeah. Okay. So if the manifest, if there's no manifest, okay. Count pack. Okay, let me just make sure here. In the galaxy. Manifest. So if there's no cache hit by this point, just blow the frig up. And otherwise, grab the manifest. Then I need to look for the level tag. How am I doing? How are we doing that here? Level directory. Loop through the level directory. Level directory entry. Okay. Where did I use that standard find? Actually, yeah, let's not do that. Level directory. So that should be a level directory entry. And I'm going to check the alf path for level tag. Equality. Yeah, I guess I do want the full. Okay, so if level alf path is the same as the level tag, then I equals the level. Okay, so now I need to do the. I can rip this shit out. But if base package, so I need to figure out the new base. Stop doing that. Okay. Oh, right. I do have to dereference. Okay. So if use aftershock is true, then the new base is aftershock. Otherwise, it's Avara. I compare it. And if it differs, then I call switch base package new base. Which means I can rip that out. Okay. Geez. Am I at the point now where I can... I mean, not really. But, like, I mean, basically I've duplicated this. Oh, I guess, if there's no level, then I need to return the error code. Oh. Cannot initialize. Oh. It would help if I typed it correctly. Okay, so that was basically copying that. Yeah, there's... Right, so that's been accounted for. This has theoretically been accounted for because this is essentially the, I mean, switch context stuff I wrote. Same with this, and this. So yeah, I mean, you know, theoretically, yes, this is slated for demolition, but I still can't really, I guess wait, do I? Okay, I did duplicate that too. So, yes, slated for demolition, but it really can't. Asset Manager still can't load ALF files or OGG files. I mean, the hooks aren't in place. In theory, everything is kind of set to handle that stuff next. But I guess I don't have an ALF cache set up yet, but anyway. Okay. Oh, okay, that's something different. So, but yes, I'm well on the way to replacing all this stuff once it's using Asset Manager for loading everything else. But I can't really fully rip this out until that point. Because otherwise, the fact that I'm setting the base folder and setting the, or whatever the equivalent in Asset Manager, none of that really fucking matters because it's still loading BSPs and OGG files and ALF files using resource.h. So, but man, it's gonna work great. I mean, I should have did want to look real quick to see. Load alf, get alf path. Theoretically, that's 90% of the way there. Get alf path, but load alf is just in level loader, so really I can yeah, I mean this is gonna have to be kind of scrambled up a bit. This actual loading and parsing of the XML, I'll probably have that stored in a cache somewhere. Um, the walker can continue living in level loader. And this parsing stuff and load of the resetting the lighting. I mean the parser stuff, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean init parser I think was probably should be making the calls out to asset manager. The parser should be making calls out to asset manager. Maybe this function just needs to be called like just load level. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, and just grab the out file from the asset manager. Or I just move a lot of this stuff into Avara app. I'm not sure what will make the most sense, but I will make that decision another night. I gotta get ready for bed, so I'll probably commit this and because we made a lot of good progress, but let's see here. Then I'm going to go to bed. Oh. Unfortunately, I cannot read what you wrote. It looks like crap on this monitor. But let's see. What is okay, so we'll say it does not replace parser.cpp. I don't know if anything ever will. Everybody is terrified to touch that thing. Head made modifications at one point, I think, in order to support like. Actually, I don't even know if that would have been in the parser. I know he made it so that a lot of alpha attributes that currently didn't evaluate Avara script expressions, things like coordinates or dimensions or whatever, things that were sort of more closely tied to like it has like a drawing format, um, positional type stuff and colors. Actually, I think colors still doesn't work that way, um, but yeah, I mean things like radius and dimensions and stuff. He made it so that they could contain Avara script expressions and reference variables and things like that. But that may have just been part of the ALF parsing or something. Because yeah, I mean it's still just evaluating of Avara script ultimately. Content switching. Progress on context switching. Level loading. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for stopping by. I kind of described pretty thoroughly in depth at the top of the stream if you wanted to know kind of how this is working, but anyway, that's all for the night. Hopefully stream more later and I can get past this so I don't lay awake at night and or think about it every waking second when I'm away from my computer, basically, and I can get back to Mass Effect. So, all right, good night.